21M here, and let me just say, this might be the dumbest thing I've ever done. Like, ever. So, I had this huge crush on my neighbor. Let's call her Emily. And for some reason, my brain decided that the only way to impress her was to fix something. Don't ask me why, but I thought if she saw me being all handy and useful, she'd think, wow, he's boyfriend material. Spoiler, she did not think that, at all. So one night, the power on my street flickered for just a second, like one of those little dips where the lights dim for half a second and then come back. Emily was outside at the same time, grabbing her mail, and she kind of laughed and said, wow, guess the grid's struggling tonight. And I, being a total moron, replied, don't worry, I know a thing or two about electricity. Which, I don't. I don't know a thing about electricity. I barely passed high school physics, but my mouth just said it before my brain caught up, and she smiled, actually smiled, and went, oh really? That's impressive. And that's when I knew I'd trapped myself. Because now I had to live up to this ridiculous lie. So the next day, I started Googling things like how to fix power flicker in neighborhood, and watching YouTube tutorials made by old electricians with bad camera quality. None of it made sense, but I figured, hey, if I just look like I know what I'm doing, that'll be enough. Which is how I ended up outside, crouched near the power box at the side of my house, wearing gloves that were definitely not rated for electrical work, with Emily sitting on her porch across the street watching me. And because I'm a genius, I decided to, inspect the breaker. My grand idea was to flip a couple of switches, wiggle some wires. Don't ever wiggle wires. I learned this the hard way. And then dramatically close the box like I just saved the neighborhood. I imagined Emily clapping, or maybe even saying something like, wow, you really know your stuff. Yeah, instead what happened was sparks. Like actual sparks. A little pop sound, followed by me yelping and falling backward into the grass like some cartoon character. And you'd think I'd stop there, right? Nope. Not me. Not Mr. Impress the Crush. I stood up, laughed it off, and said something like, haha, just testing it, making sure everything's safe. My hand was still tingling, but I pretended it wasn't. And Emily, bless her, actually looked concerned and said, are you sure you should be touching that? And what did I say? I said, oh, totally. I've done this before. Another lie. At this point, I was just digging the grave deeper. So I opened the box again, and I don't even know what possessed me, but I thought, okay, maybe if I just tighten one of these screws, it'll look like I'm fixing something. Except the screwdriver I grabbed had a metal handle, which I later found out is basically like signing a permission slip to electrocute yourself. So the moment I touched the wrong spot, zap. Not enough to kill me, but enough to make me yell a very unmanly scream that echoed down the street. And then, everything went black. I don't mean I blacked out, I mean the entire neighborhood. Houses, street lamps, even the traffic light at the corner, gone. I'd somehow managed to knock out power for like 15 houses, all because I wanted to look cool. And the worst part? An alarm started blaring from one of the houses, and a dog started howling, and suddenly it felt like the whole block knew it was my fault. Emily shouted across the street, oh my God, did you just shut off the power? And I, still half in shock, just said, maybe? People started coming out of their houses, some with flashlights, some just yelling. One guy literally shouted, who messed with the box? And I panicked. I panicked hard. I tried to close the panel like that would undo what I did, but the handle snapped off in my hand. At that point, I just sat down on the curb, completely defeated, as everyone stared at me like I was the village idiot. And here's the cherry on top. Emily walked over, sat down next to me, and said, you know, you could have just asked me out instead of shutting down the whole street. And I didn't even have a comeback. I just sat there in the dark, holding a broken screwdriver, realizing I'd ruined my chances forever. The power company came 2 hours later. They had to reset the whole system, and one of the workers actually laughed when I explained what happened. He said, son, you're lucky you're still alive. Emily never let me live it down either. Every time the lights flicker now, she looks at me and goes, don't worry, he's got it handled. So yeah, that's how I tried to impress my crush and instead caused a neighborhood blackout. Lesson learned. Honesty really is the best policy. And also, don't touch wires.
Bye.